Have you ever noticed your team's energy dropping as the temperature is rising? The summer slump can derail your team's momentum, but it doesn't have to. Imagine your team energized, motivated, and thriving all summer long. Today, I'm going to give you some proven tactics like pulse checks, fun micro goals, and simple routines to re-energize your team immediately. Ready to keep your summer fun and productive? Let's dive in. Hey everyone, John here. 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 Welcome to the Leaders Leading Leaders podcast. Hey everyone, John here. Welcome to the episode today. We are going to talk about how to outlast the summer slump. And I'm going to give you some proven tactics that will work with your teams in your businesses to keep your teams engaged and energized over the summer. Today is going to be a lot of tactical type applications. So get out your journal, get out your pen. You're going to want to write these things down because the challenge as always is for you to take one of these things and implement them today. Don't wait. Get this thing implemented so that way you can begin to see results. The first technique we're going to talk about is how to stay connected and responsive. And the reason why I believe we get disconnected is summer has a bunch of distractions, and it can lead to not just the employees or our team becoming disconnected, but also us as leaders, as the business owners becoming disconnected. We may have other things that are going on. The kids are off of school if you have a family. So that routine's a little bit different. Maybe you're planning for a vacation and it could be a significant time, maybe a week or 2 weeks vacation if you're able to do that for your business. There are a lot of things, graduations that are going on in May. Maybe you're sending a kid off to school and you're getting them, preparing them for college in the fall. Whatever that looks like. There are a lot of distractions that summertime can bring. And so when we talk about how to stay connected, it really is what I call pulse checks. And it's no different than going to the doctor and getting a heart rate reading. When your heart rate is elevated, what happens? You're normally stressed, you're normally anxious. If it's too slow, you're probably cathartic and you need to get re-energized. Well, that's what I mean by pulse checks. It's no different in our businesses. As leaders and as business owners, we need to maintain the pulse of our teams and our organizations. So how do we do that? One of my favorite ways, just check in with folks, is ask them. Do weekly check-ins. These don't have to be long. Schedule them or do walk-arounds and just see how things are going. You know, any challenges? What do they have as far as plans coming up? Make sure that there's backup for any work. Those types of things go a real long way into ensuring that you have coverage when people are gone, and it lets them know that you're interested in what they're doing. I don't know how many times that I've worked for an organization and people take off and they go on a really, really cool vacation and they come back and they don't talk about it. Well, why? I think a lot of that is because we don't have that one-on-one relationship, that check-in. Those are opportunities for us as leaders and as business owners to get to know our team, to get to know our employees. And what that does is it allows them to have the freedom to step away from their jobs, just as we as business owners almost need that permission to step away. We got your back. We're going to have everything covered. Go enjoy your trip. And when you get back, we'll be here for you. There's nothing better than to hear those words is, we have your back. And that's very important, especially when we talk about maintaining that momentum and being responsive to any concerns that they have maybe while they're out of the office. Another way that I like to do this is just a simple Google Sheet or a poll that you can have. You can send it out via email. There's plenty of polling systems out there. There's apps on the phone that you can download. But one of the questions I like to ask are, what are some things in the summer that we can do as a business to create energy that we can use to reconnect. I love activities just that are small activities that allow people to stay engaged in those summer months, even if people are out for a week or out for a couple days or take an extended vacation over Memorial Day or the 4th of July. Whatever that looks like, create some buzz around that. Those are significant holidays, especially here in the United States. I know we have an international audience, so I'm sure there are specific holidays over the summer that you also celebrate, but think how you exit and you enter your team, the system. If you think of a team as a system, how do you enter in the system after a vacation? Is it coming back to a inbox full of emails? Is it coming back to a to-do list? Do you regret coming back? Do you almost need a vacation from your vacation because you got a lot of things to do? Those are things that you can think about prior to leaving rather than just worry about when you walk in the door. And it alleviates a lot of that, man, I'm going to dread going back on Monday, into, you know what? I know I got everything taken care of. I trust my team. I trust my peers to get the work done. When you step in the door on Monday, it's like you were never gone. That's when you know your team is a well-oiled machine and you have those systems and processes in place and you've delegated well enough to get the job done. Another question, just a real quick question that I want to throw out there to you is, on your one-on-ones, what are some things to talk about? A great question I wrote down this morning as I was journaling is, what's one thing that would boost your motivation this week? So again, if things are on our mind, that means that our focus is on them. And if we are focused on boosting people's motivation, they are going to be focused on boosting that motivation. You see how that works? So it's the recency effect. It's if something is on our minds, we're conscious of it. It is in our conscious minds, not in our subconscious, and it allows us to find ways to boost our motivation and not find ways to get in that lull or those slumps that we're trying to avoid. So that's our first way that we're going to stay connected and responsive to beat that summer slump. The second way, micro goals. Micro goals, I'm a big micro to macro person. So in this example, we're going to talk about fun micro goals that really create small wins. It's those momentum kind of givers. So we create micro goals so we win more often, and that winning allows us to gain momentum, to continue on down the path. And a lot of times when the end goal, when the mission is just really, really big, it's hard for people to see the end. It's hard for people to see how the work they're doing today is going to accomplish that big goal. So if we break it down to micro, we got the macro, the big goal. If we break that down into smaller micro goals, what that allows us to do is look forward to something. I always use the example, back to summertime. If I am looking forward to vacation, what am I going to do? I'm going to work very, very hard to get everything I possibly can in place before I leave the office, before I leave the team, before I leave somebody in charge, to make sure that everything is good. So that way on vacation, I don't have to worry about it. That's what I'm talking about as a micro goal. So set those micro goals up to where we're working towards something. And I'm saying week to 2 week micro goals. That's what I mean by micro. To where you got a milestone, you have a goal, whatever that may be, and now everybody's working towards that. And then if that goal is achieved, let's celebrate. Let's do a root beer float party. And I know that seems cheesy, but a root beer float party, when's the last time you had one of those? Who doesn't like ice cream? Who doesn't like root beer? You can even have a healthy alternative if you want. Maybe do some hummus or, some guacamole and chips or salsa party. I don't know, whatever that is, but over the summertime is a chance for us again to bring back and celebrate those small wins as we are marching to the bigger goal. So some applications here. Set mini goals and friendly competitions. I always like to tell the story. I recently have brought in puzzles and I put them in the common area, the break room, where everybody comes and either has lunch or warms up their food. And it has created this kind of culture of somebody does the puzzle for, as their food is warming up or maybe as they're eating during lunch, and they leave pieces out. And then somebody comes in and finishes those pieces, and then they'll leave some pieces out. So what that has done is it's created kind of it's energized folks even during their break, where they're doing something together. They're putting together this puzzle, and it is, trust me, Go Be Great community, this is something that when I brought in the puzzle, everybody looked at me like, John's lost his mind. He's crazy. He doesn't know what he's talking about. I challenge you to try it. Take a puzzle. During COVID, we did a lot of puzzles. So I had a game closet full of puzzles. I was like, you know what? We don't ever do these puzzles anymore. I'm going to start bringing them to work, putting them in the break room. Just a wacky idea that I had. It works. It is one of the ways that I have been able to keep people focused, to keep people, and they talk about it. They love it. I'll tell you the best part of this. So the last piece to the puzzle, because that's the other story. I didn't know if all the pieces were there. I want to take a quick break from the episode today to talk about a couple things. The first thing, less than 40% of our listeners are subscribed to our channel. You would be doing me a huge favor if you click on that subscribe button. It helps us grow our Go Be Great community and get this podcast out to as many people as we possibly can. The second thing, are you a small business owner that is drowning in the day-to-day operations? You're delegating tasks and you're still doing all the work. You're experiencing a high turnover. Maybe you don't have the systems and processes in place that you need to run a successful business. I invite you to go over to thejohnespinosa.com, fill out the form to see if you're the right fit. Now back to the episode. The last piece of the puzzle they left out, and they wrote a note on it, and they said, you know what, John, the puzzle owner, whoever brought the puzzle, I want you to put this puzzle piece in. Now, how awesome is that as a team, looking out for each other? And we even had people outside of our team that would come over in our break room, other side of the office, that would heard about the puzzle, and they'd come over and they'd work on the puzzle during that break time. But that's just a great way to publicly recognize the team, to bring them, something in to where it creates team camaraderie. It gets them around a common purpose and a goal. It takes them away from the work day just for that little bit. It gives them that mental break. So it's a great friendly competition that we have instilled, and it just worked out perfectly. So the second one, create fun micro goals and small wins that energize. And then the third one, and the last one that we're going to talk about, are these energizing routines. So structures that support energy. And here, consistency. Consistency is going to be the foundation for this. And when we talk about routines, a lot of times we, as leaders and as business owners, think we got to make like big leaps in our business, come up with big innovations, create the next whatever it is out of our business, invent the next thing that's going to solve, whatever problem or whatever business that we're in. That's not where businesses survive, especially during tough times. Great businesses, great teams are able to withstand challenging times or withstand slumps, the summer slump that we're talking about today, by just staying consistent. It's the little things, going back to the micro habits. It's the little goals that we set that allow us to keep that momentum, to keep the consistency. And then now when things start to pick back up, guess what? It's not such a heavy lift because we've been consistently trucking along at that pace, and we're not having to come from a stagnant place and go to a high productivity place. We've been consistent along the way. And so we can ratchet up, we can gear up to that high productivity phase really, really quickly. And it's not a big stress on the ecosystem, on the team environment, on any individual. So what are some things that energizing routines, John? Daily morning huddles, just a quick 5 to 10 minute huddle. I had a good company that I was working with, and they did virtual coffee talks. So their team was spread across the US. They were virtual, and at 8 a.m. every morning, they got on virtual, Zoom, Teams, whatever their platform was that they were using, and they would do virtual coffee talks, just like if you had a coffee pot or Keurig or, whatever your coffee area is, your break room area. In the morning, as people go and fill up their cup or get their breakfast, they run into each other and they have conversations. Those impromptu conversations allow us to build energy for the day. Especially in the morning, it's important for us to engage, to begin to open up. And I hear you, there are some people out there that are going, John, I am not a morning person. I don't want to talk to anybody in the morning. I just want to come in, I want to check my email, and I want to kind of gear up for the day. And that's fine. I understand that. I know that there are different levels of morning people out there. I'm one. As soon as my feet hit the ground, I'm going. So I come into the office, I say good morning to everybody, I got my coffee brewing, and I go. And, the very first thing I do is kind of walk around and tell everybody, hey, good morning, thank you for being here, look forward to an exciting day. It just sets the tone and the mood. So what these daily huddles do is set the tone and the mood for the day. You can have them in the morning. I prefer to have them in the morning. You can have them in the mid-afternoon. We'll talk about another thing that, application that I like to do in the afternoons. And I've worked with organizations and they found successful. But the daily morning huddles, and it can be quick. Doesn't have to be a long meeting. Call them stand-up meetings, whatever you want to call them, right? I like to call them huddle. It's a sports analogy. We all huddle around, talk about what we're going to do or anything that's coming up for the day. And then everybody goes along their way. Another great way in the afternoon is to have those afternoon stretch breaks. And you can be physical stretching. Here we're talking about stretching. In baseball, if you're a baseball fan, it's the 7th inning stretch. What do you do in the 7th inning? You all set up, you sing Take Me Out to the Ball Game, right? You stretch. There's normally fun activities. This is no different. This is that 1 to 2 p.m. slump. After you've eaten lunch, kind of had your morning meetings, maybe had an afternoon meetings, and then everybody gets in that lull between 1 to 2. Things start slowing down. If you're a U.S. company, the East Coast starts slowing down, but the West Coast is still going, right? So I always find a good time is to just do an afternoon stretch break. Get everybody, you can do your huddle around the afternoon session, but this looks like, maybe sending an IM. Hey, everybody, great day, great morning so far. Finish the day strong. Something that simple can re-energize people and get them through the end of the day. Especially in the summertime, the days are longer. We got longer sunlight normally in most areas of the world. So you got activities that you got to go to, in the summer. It just allows, I think, this kind of get through the end of the day. We're on the last stretch. We're getting there. We only got a couple more innings to go. Let's finish the day strong. And then Fun Fridays. Fun Fridays are another way that in organizations, especially if you don't have a lot of time, if you're in a manufacturing organization or a sales organization, there are a lot of times where, they go out for happy hour on Fridays. Fridays are the happy hours and they have some team camaraderie. They may even bring in happy hour to the office if that's the type of organization. And happy hour doesn't have to mean alcoholic beverages. You can bring in food. You can bring in, chicken wings. You can bring in, one time we brought in tamales, for our organization. Then everybody brought their own salsa and on Fridays, and we had a group lunch. So those Fun Fridays can really turn into reconnecting and allowing the team to celebrate those small wins. So all of these things tie into each other, even though I'm talking about them individually. These are things that you can do during those summer months to get out of that sluggishness, that stagnant kind of, hey, everybody's looking to go on vacation. Things are starting to slow down in the summer. Our minds are elsewhere. Get people focused back on the mission, on those micro goals, and get them working towards that fall time when we know things are going to pick back up and everybody's going to be busy. Kids are going to be back into school. Routines are going to change again. Days are going to get shorter. So it allows us to, again, be consistent and carry that momentum through those summer months. I hope this helped somebody today get through that sluggish time frame. I know out there are organizations, there are businesses that struggle during these summer months for whatever it is, whether it's morale, whether it's just productivity. But these types of strategic activities are going to help you sustain the momentum and re-energize your workforce, your team, to stay on track and to get to where you are going. I believe in you. Go be great. Talk to everyone later. Bye-bye. If you like what you're hearing, do us a favor. Click on that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, or leave a comment. That lets us know that what we are putting out benefits you. If you want additional information or resources or learn how to work with me, head on over to thejohnespinosa.com, because when we become better versions of ourselves, it helps us get others to where they're going. Go be great. Talk to everyone later.